My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And today we have a very, very exciting birthday party. That's right, we are having a birthday party. And I know what you're thinking. Some people are sitting here and they're going, wait a second, I've been listening to the Certified Noonas for quite a while. And I know that Jessie's birthday was last month. And Amanda's birthday's not till the fall. And Sky and Natalia's birthdays, I'm pretty sure they're in the summer. Whose birthday?
Who could we possibly be talking
be?
about?
Talking about?
Could it be
well,
now?
There's a man who...
There aren't many men that we would give this type of attention to.
There are very few men.
One man right.
Yes, exactly. If you've watched Korean dramas, in the past 10 years, you've seen this man
Multiple times.
You may not know his name, but you know his face, and that is the one, the only Kim Won-hae, whose birthday was this week that we're recording, but it was last week when this comes out.
Happy birthday!
I think Kim Won-hae, when I'm thinking about it, he was the first, back before we even started the podcast, we were all man, why doesn't he have a fan club? We all want to be part of his fan club. And I remember that I even made a joke, official fan club member Kim Won-hae.
You do, and I think you still have stickers and merch
it's
with it on it.
It's still in the shop. I should just put it in the sticker shop, really.
Yeah.
But no, the Kim Won-hae fan club is real. You would not listen, Korea, it throws out all of these gorgeous young men at you. Just these, absolute beauties. But you know what the world needs more than leading men? Character actors.
It's very true.
Mm-hmm.
And someone who can really just tie that whole ensemble together.
And a scene stealer. He is such a scene stealer.
Oh, yeah.
And pretty much everything.
He really is, and especially when you think about it, especially when I was going through kind of some of the stuff and kind of diving in more for the research for this episode, the shows that I was oh yeah, he was on that, and then realizing he wasn't even a co-star, he was just a bit part, a guest special, and I was but I remember his character. And it was so big, but it was this tiny little corner of this entire show.
He'll appear in 2 scenes, and you're man, my dude, that is my dude.
And you remember him throughout the entire series, even if he was in the 2 scenes.
Yeah,
he'll show up, and you're Kim Won-hae, this right now. That's so cool.
And I find that I do that now, but some of his dramas I watched sort of before I knew who he was or whatever. And so when we were doing this and I was going through the list, I was oh, he was in that, he was in that, he was in that, which I think is also a good testament to his acting, because I wasn't oh yeah, the dad was that big hammy actor or whatever. He was just playing his role, so he was just there.
Yeah, it's not oh, it's that guy again, being the same dude.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that guy again.
Yeah.
The man never sleeps, it seems.
No, not at all.
He is a working machine. He is in everything, even things that you may not remember. Oh, he's been in it. And
it's so true.
He's been around for a while. Because, listen, he's not one of these young bucks. He was born in 1969. So, he's been around.
He's still a young 52, though.
Yeah, that's true. Very youthful.
Yeah, he's not that old.
He's looked the same for the past 10 years.
Yeah,
he really
true.
has.
That's true.
It was pretty funny. On something I was watching him on, a talk show type thing.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell that there was an older comedian lady, and she thought that she was younger than him. And he's like, oh no, I'm younger than you. Because they were trying to figure out, how to speak to each other.
Yeah.
And she was like, when were you born? And then they figured that out. And she was like, oh my gosh. Like, whoa, you're like 2 years younger than me. Like, It was really funny. Okay, so he was born in 1969, April 6th. I think whenever we started talking about doing this podcast, like, depends on where you look online when he was born.
Yeah, I think there was like a September date or something.
Yeah, the My Drama List one says that it's May 21st. So like they still have him listed as 51 because it's not May 21st yet. But
like,
so according to us, he was born in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest, like finding out biographical information on this man was difficult and sparse. There is not a lot in English that you can find about this man's life.
So he attended the Seoul Institute of Arts for Theater and Film. So he is an educated man in this field. He is married with 2 daughters. He met his wife in an online chat room.
That's so
he actually
cute.
talks about this in on one of the talk shows. It was pretty funny because even the graphics they showed, it was obvious it was like one of those early chat rooms.
Well, yeah.
And at the time, his screen name was like Chef, and then her name was just Sook, because I think that's a part of her name. And they talked for a long time, and then when they finally met in person, like, she looked exactly like he imagined she would, like the type of person that she was going to be. And she always jokes that, like, she married him because she thought, like, he would be alone if she didn't marry him type thing.
Oh, no. Oh.
But it's obvious they have, like, a really good relationship. His wife and kids, they live in Canada, at least last we know. Like, from last we heard. Even if they moved back at some point, I doubt that it's going to be, like, publicized anywhere. Like, Kim Won-hae's family have returned to Korea. Yeah. Like, you won't know.
I feel like, Kim Won-hae isn't someone that dispatches, like, sitting outside his house, like, trying to get the goods.
And his wife returning. Like, okay.
Yeah, because, so they lived in Canada for his kids to attend school. And so, somewhere I saw that, so he's considered a quote-unquote father goose, like, for some reason they kind of said that. So anyway, he's also a very frugal guy because of that, probably. And also it kind of sounds like he came from nothing with a lot of his stuff. So when I was watching some of the talk show type things, I stumbled across, so he was on Happy Together as a guest once. And the guest lineup was, he was in a musical at the time, I think it was 2016, with these other actors, and so they were all the guests, and so they were talking about musicals and stuff. And but come to find out, Kim Won-hae was a part of a traveling, I want to call it a musical, but it's a non-verbal musical.
Like sort of like Stomp or something.
Like Stomp or Blue Man Group type thought. It's called Nanta, and it's essentially, the plot is it's a group of chefs who they're cooking for a wedding. And so they actually use real knives and real food, but they make beats and stuff too. But it also kind of echoes the traditional Korean drum thought as well.
In that Happy Together episode, he kind of actually shows what they did. Yeah. Because they were having a discussion about it, and you'll understand why he left it in a little bit. But they were kind of joking around. They're like, it's got to be muscle memory for you. You could just do it. And so why don't you just do it now? And so he ended up doing it. Like, he ended up like sitting there and just like cutting all the things and like just sitting there on the cucumber and then the cabbage and just like hitting the light board with the knives. It was pretty interesting.
Throwing around a knife, like upside down and all types of stuff.
The clips of it look so cool.
Yeah, and then also the clips of it, he had some great hair. When they had clips of him in the show, his hair was luxurious and long, like an 80s rocker. He looked great.
And that show traveled like everywhere. It went everywhere. So it was on off-Broadway for a while and stuff. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, so they toured for 10 years. Yeah. He was a part of that for 10 years. So he was one of the original members. And they went to 270 cities in 41 countries.
Like,
That's a lot.
They were busy.
that's pretty wild.
They performed on the Today Show in 2002. They became the first Asian show to be invited to perform on Broadway and be given a guaranteed fee. And then after that, they made a home off-Broadway and an off-Broadway theater for quite some time. So he was very busy with that for a very long time. And it's obvious that he's learned a lot. Like, he can actually... I also imagine since his family is in Canada too, but even just from that, he learned a fair bit of English. So, like, his English skills are pretty good, because he even has a story about that. Essentially, it wasn't during Nanta, it was later, but they're in New York with a different show, and they all had their shirts off in Central Park, smoking, and the cops stopped. Well, didn't just stop. The cops came with a huge Escalade and were, like, going to arrest them and stuff. And, Kim Won-hye was the only one that knew any English to, like, prevent this from happening. And guns were drawn. It was not good. And he was just like, Korean cigarette, like, because they thought it was marijuana.
Because that's what, should be the response to just a couple of dudes out smoking dudes. To open an Escalade with guns.
Yeah.
Right. And then he's like, and then he goes, this is this. And he was pointing to just the cigarette. Like, that's all it is. Like, it's just a cigarette. So that little bit of English saved them. And the cops did not say sorry, did not say anything, just backed away and, like, left. Of course
not. Why would they?
So he has all types of stories, even just about his travels and stuff. But I was just blown away with just the Nanta thing. Like, he did that for 10 years.
No idea.
Yeah, that's a long time to be part of, like, an ensemble group like that.
Yeah.
And he still has his fingers. Like,
Yeah.
I know that one story about that he was telling about, like, getting stabbed in the final position one time and being like, "Oh, I'm bleeding," and there's, like, blood pouring down his white.
And everybody's like, "Oh God."
and I wish I could remember his numbers on, like, in order to practice that enough to become good enough at it. It was a long. It was it 6 months?
It was.
It was like 12 hours a day for 6 months or something crazy. Like, it ended up being enough time that whatever number that is, where it's like you do become an expert at something, like 30,000 hours or whatever, he definitely put in that much time in order to be able to do those things. But I just think it's really cool. Like, I want to see Nanta sometime in person. He doesn't have to be in it, of course, but I just, it really made me want to see that show.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's really cool. Like, the fact that it doesn't have any verbal words in it, that does give it huge international appeal, because you don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just blown away that, like, I want everyone to know that Kim Won-hye had this awesome career even before he was in every single K-drama known to mankind. Like, he was hugely successful, and after that he was just done being a part of Nanta. Like, you can imagine how burnt out you would be.
Yeah.
So he tried, and he got pretty down and stuff, and he just tried to pretty much leave the industry just because he was done. And even during that time, he was getting tons of offers, again, because of that position that he held as one of the original members. He was getting, like, lecture and teaching offers, like, left and right, which would have been really good money. But he just didn't want to mess. He was like, no, I don't want to mess with it. I really don't.
That's understandable.
But yeah, eventually he just kind of started getting other opportunities and whatever, and he kind of got back into entertainment. I mean, so it's not like he just stumbled into K-dramas. He definitely had this other career first.
Yeah, he was well known in the industry enough that, like, he was actually receiving the offers as opposed to just
And it did help that he was also for 4 years a member of SNL Korea, like when it first started.
So then he became a part of SNL Korea, essentially.
So then he became a household face, not quite a household name, because, like, you know how it is. But like,
but it's essentially the same way as SNL is here for us. Like, those people. I mean, like, some people, like the comedians, actually went on to, like, be even more successful. But in comparison, Korea SNL had that kind of same following, if you're trying to kind of compare their audience base.
And then it's obvious, like, throughout both his theater career and then SNL. So, like, his comedic timing, of course he got his comedic timing down pat throughout all, you know,
absolutely.
all these years of experience. So that's how with his character acting, it's like so well informed with just everything he's ever done. And that's why he can pull off super campy or like the most subtle, normal character on the face of the planet. Like, he can pull it all off.
Or like just heartbreakingly just sweet like he was in The Ghost Detective. Still make that show, those characters still makes me sad in that show. Like,
well,
like,
you can't really talk about it.
No, I don't wanna like, listen, I don't wanna give anything away, but he did win an award for his performance on that show, so
it is currently my favorite Subway.
Yeah,
Well, by far. Like that with him.
If you haven't seen it, I know right now you're thinking, there's no way that a Subway PPL could be heartbreaking and like bring a tear to your eye. Oh, you haven't seen anything, okay? That was the most masterful Subway PPL I've ever seen in my life. Like, I wanted to go eat Subway, and I have celiacs and am vegan. There's nothing there for me. And I was like, I could go for some Subway right now. Anyway, he's wonderful.
Oh, something that he joked about on Happy Together. He likes joking about being a supporting actor. So he's like, I've always been a supporting actor. My motto is just to not upset the main actors. Because he usually has really good relationships with a lot. Like, sometimes he's been friends with these people for, like, a long time. So he always just jokes about kind of just going along with whatever they do. But you can tell that, like, everyone respects him to, like, no end. It's just that he laughs about it.
And, like, obviously people like him because he has been in over 50 TV shows since 2007. And 32 movies.
Well,
clearly the industry is a fan, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I just wonder, who else would you trust to, like, be in whatever amount of dramas at the same time? And, like, be able to be there on time and, like, be rested and be able to do his stuff well. He's obviously proven he can, like, juggle a bazillion things at once.
Yeah, because he's been in stuff that was, like, airing and, like
multiple
recording
shows
spots.
at the same time.
Or even, like, you know, it was airing, but this show was airing and still in recording, and the other show had already started recording and not airing yet. And they were butting up, and he was still able to do it all. Like,
well, I suppose that would be slightly easier if you're not the main actor, like when you are sort of in the support.
And I also want to say that, like, it's not all on him. And I'm going to give credit where actual credit is due. It's on his managers and his support staff too. So like, that's really where that kind of scheduling lies. But I think like the fact that he's able to kind of juggle that, because it actually is kind of really hard to jump in and out of characters. And granted, like, he does do a lot of characters that are kind of similar, but they're not all that way. And so like jumping in and out of those characters, it's actually really hard. It's a lot easier as an actor to sit there and kind of be immersed in what you're doing and immersed in the character and just kind of keep it that way for the entire run. But when you have to kind of jump out, it takes like craft to do what he's doing.
And it's, I think, a testament to his character and his work ethic that so many directors and product, like, that they're willing to do that. They're willing to be like, okay, we understand there's overlap and we're gonna make it work. Like, we just won't schedule, you know, that day, because that has to come into it too, right? Like, if, yes, you're a side character, but generally those things get revolved a little more around the main characters and what they need. So if we need you here, we need you here, right? But they're obviously willing to shuffle a little bit for him, so that's cool.
I would love to see him and his support staff on The Manager. Like,
yeah,
I need it. even if he wasn't busy at that moment, if they would just talk about those times when they were juggling, like, and then then the next month he did a movie. You know, like, just,
Yeah.
it'd be crazy. Because
Like, I
even
think-
there's one of his movies, which I haven't seen it, but it's called The Himalayas, and I think they were in the Himalayas for it. And
Yeah.
the things that they were talking about having to do were very, very, very physical.
Yeah, they talk about it on the Happy Together in the very
Mhm.
beginning about some of the stuff that they had to do, and like especially with one of the other actors who he was the one who was sitting beside, because
Yep.
they were both on the movie, and like he was telling a story about how like they had to like work around, you know, the fog and the mist coming in, and they're like, but we don't have this in Korea. We have to shoot here. Like
Yeah.
we have to get these views.
That's kind of another thing. Like some of his roles, you know, he does play characters that are maybe not as physical, but
Mhm.
others are very, very physical too. So it's not as if he just does action or whatever, but he
Yeah.
definitely has to be physical in some of his roles.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to, because I think it will be fun to sit here and like list every just the dramas. I'm just gonna go through the dramas, and I'll list every drama that he's been in, so you can actually accurately hear how many dramas you've seen him in and know him in. So
Yeah.
we first have God's Quiz season 2. He was in Vampire Prosecutor, Quinn Inyon's Man, nine times time travel, Reply 1994, High School King of Savvy, Plus 9 Boys, Miss Ang, Modern Farmer, Sweet Savage Family, Signal, Monster, Drinking Solo, Harang, Chief Kim, Tomorrow with You, Strong Woman Do Bong Soon, The Bride of Habeck, or Habak, I don't know, Criminal Minds, While You're
Bride of the
Sleeping,
Water God.
Black, Queen of Mystery 2, A Poem a Day, Miracle That We Met, Are You Human 2, Life, The Ghost Detective, Player, Where Stars Land, Feel Good to Die, Clean with Passion for Now, The Hymn of Death, The Fiery Priest, He is Psychometric, Hotel Del Luna, When the Devil Calls Your Name, Miss Lee, Melting Me Softly, Chocolate, How to Buy a Friend, Dinner Mate, Graceful Friends, Stranger 2, Startup, Awaken, Hush, Run On, and this year he will be in Youth of May and Monthly Magazine Home.
Like,
That's
for,
just
like that
his
that we know of
dramas.
so far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so far.
and that's probably severely limited in that like end run and this run because of COVID restrictions and those
Yeah.
dramas being
Mhm.
that he could have potentially been and being pushed aside or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And he did have a little bit of a run-in with COVID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He did. We were. I remember when that broke, we were very upset.
Yeah, everybody
We're
on the
"Oh,
like
no."
timeline was like, "What? No,
What?
Ooh.
No. But he has made a full recovery. He is fine.
Yeah.
It was kind of like when Tom Hanks announced that he had it, and it was like, no,
It was
right.
I can't
Like-
remember exactly which one it was, but he was definitely doing a stage play at that point. And I think
Yeah.
that, like someone in the cast had gotten in and kind of just traveled through. But it was like
And
a
a lot of the actors were older too, so it was like, no.
And then there was one person in it that then had to push back a drama too. I think, which one was it? The kid that is in Missing, his show.
MC1, like he kept on.
He was getting
having
pushed
to-
back, and I think it was one of the times it was because an actor in that drama was part of that crew, and so then
Yeah.
they got pushed back on that. So
Or
yeah,
MC1, he kept having like contact with a bazillion people that kept being exposed,
I
and he
know.
kept being
Never had it.
quarantined. He
he
never had.
just kept on getting like his test and quarantined, and never
Poor
getting it.
guy.
And you're like, oh, sorry, dude. Just trying to make a
He's-
living.
It's just so tough. So he just
But-
he just wanted to make a TV show, man. Like,
But Kim On-hae beat COVID, so there you be.
Mhm.
he's a bad bitch. You can't.
Well, I mean, after a year, like when you're listing through and you're like 2018, 2018, 2018, he did 11 dramas in 2018, 2 movies and a drama special. Like,
Ridiculous.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Mm.
My goodness.
Wild. the man never sleeps. He's put in his indelible mark on all of us. Like, he
Well,
captured our hearts.
On that note, is there a drama that you remember first watching him in, or like first like clearly going, it's that guy again?
For me, it was definitely like Strong Woman Do Bong Soon, where it's like, I know this guy, and then
Me
we
too.
had the dual roles in that, and I was like, oh, okay, like, you know, it was a very hammy sort of like role, you know, because like it was like one of those, like, it wasn't, obviously when I look back at the list, it was not the first one
No.
him in,
because
But,
my
like,
first one was Black, because I watched the first so on of Black. I gave it a good college try. Never finished it.
mine, if I'm looking at this list, like, though I wouldn't have known it at the time, mine was probably Modern Farmer, because I watched that pretty early in my K-drama watching. Like, I watched it the year that it aired. So, it's like, but I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Mine was Hwarang, and I don't remember him being in it, but I mean, I only watched half of it, but I'm pretty sure he was in the first half. So,
yeah. And I mean, like, there's also that thing where, you know, we specifically are now looking at like the people that we're looking at because we've gotten more like deep into our fandom and love for this type of thing, and then also like this podcast. But like when you're first getting into it, or even like when you're just kind of casually into something, there's actually no reason for you to kind of pick up on these things, you know. But
it's
like,
so true. Like,
but he definitely is one that I think it's kind of like, you know, there's the character actors here where you always see them in something, like they'll show up in like a Law and Order, and then they'll show up on like a comedy show, and you're like, oh, it's that guy. And like Kim Won-hae is that. He's like Korea's supporting comedic timing sweetheart.
Yeah.
You know?
If Kim Won-hae showed up on an episode of Law and Order, you know he's the murderer, because he's that guy from that thing, right? Like
that guy, and they're paying him a
you're
lot
like,
more than others like guest stars here.
He wouldn't be here if there wasn't a reason. So
yeah,
they're definitely not going to kill off his character very quickly. They might kill off his character, but it wouldn't be. They'd give him some time to do something first.
Yeah, like he'd show up as like the cab driver who witnessed the murder, and you're like, no, he done did.
Yeah, they'll like show him like once, and you're like, that's not all you're gonna give Kim Won-hae.
No,
you just like ratted
you would
out
not
the killer.
disrespect him that way.
well, just looking at some of these things where it's like guest role, but it's like guest role in like Tomorrow with You. It's guest role in episodes 2 and 15. It's like we're not you. We need you to come back. Like,
yeah.
It's like, I just think of like his cameo in Hotel Del Luna, which was just like so memorable, though.
It really was.
Because like that's the one that's like kickstarts the whole show, right? Like that the vibe, you find out the vibe of the show that you're about to watch through his character and
the vibe of her like character too.
So like just perfection, you know?
I actually just thought of, can you imagine, like, let's say you worked with Kim Won-hae on a show, and then you get to work with him again. Like, how jazzed you would be to be, like, have him in your cast again.
Right? Because he seems like a fun, nice dude, right?
Well, that's the thing, like, especially during the Happy Together episode, it's actually shocking watching him talk, because he's very soft-spoken. He is not who he is on screen at all. He is like kind of a quiet, very soft-spoken guy, and like then, you know, you watch him in something like Strong Woman Do Bong Soon, you're like, that's him. Or even there's a Running Man episode, which I didn't rewatch for this episode, but I have watched it before, but it's been probably like 5 years since I watched the entire thing, so I don't remember much about it. But what I do remember about it, it's a really funny episode.
Oh, I died the entire episode.
It's definitely one that I think like people should watch if you've never watched a Running Man. I think it's like a pretty solid, good, great comedy coming at it, because the premise of the show is that each of the Running Man cast members are assigned an intern, and they don't know who the intern is. And then it turns out they're all seniors in the industry. So Kim A is matched with Song Ji-hyo's, as her intern. And the entire time the cast is freaking out because they have to view these people as their interns and not seniors in the industry. And they're like, there's like one part I remember where like nobody wanted to sit down because they wanted like them to go first, and they're like, but we're interns, we can't sit down first. And like everybody's losing their minds. And like someone will be like, yeah, you can talk to me casually, and they're like, no. I'm good.
And in that Running Man, he's very soft-spoken. I think some of it was intentional because he was trying to do like the intern thing too. Yeah. Like he was really trying to sell that. But he was also rather soft-spoken. But near the end, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but he got excited about something. And there was this acupuncture mat, which in case you don't know what those are, they're very hurty things that you walk on to like increase circulation. Anyway. He got excited, so he tucked and rolled across this thing, like did a somersault and like sprang up, and like he was all celebrating. And everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, you just did that!" There was also a time for these interns; they went into separate rooms, and it was about like these rooms were decorated to reflect their careers of each of the interns because they were all celebrated people in their various careers. And Kim Won-hae's was plastered with all these like movie posters and drama posters and stuff. It's like it was like the shrine of everything he's been in.
It was really cool.
And he was actually like really taken aback. He was like really touched that they even did that. Like it was really sweet. Like,
well, like I remember the part when like the other members, like, because all the interns went to each of the members specifically and drove them to their place that they were like meeting at first, and so all the members didn't know who's each other's intern was going to be. And so
all they knew is that there was going to be a 12-year age gap. So what they thought was that it was going to be people 12 years younger than them.
So they were sitting there like Googling or whatever, like trying to figure out who it is, which is that's kind of like a running thing on Running Man. They do that a lot where they're like, it's this person, and then it like comes,
it's never that person.
But like, so like, you know, Song Ji-hyo's character like sees it's Kim Won-hae and she's freaking out in the car. She doesn't even know where to put her hands. Like she's just like, I don't know. And then when they all like meet at whatever place they are meeting at, everybody starts flipping out about the person that like is another person's intern too. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're the best, I love you.
And the oldest intern, which it's obvious that he was I think he was a celebrated actor as well, I think, but a rather old guy, goes and does the full bow on the ground thing. The old guy does the full bow on the ground right back at him.
No.
Everybody needs to stop.
Awkward.
Everyone needs to stop. But later on, that dude, he gets more relaxed. It's obvious that he forgets that he's supposed to be playing an intern character. So he starts like, whenever he's sitting, like he'll just be like chilling. Or he sat on the ground at one point and he was like on his side, you know, very much like the Korean dad, like, you know, like having his legs kind of spread out a certain way. And they all looked over and they saw it and they just cracked up laughing. They're like, are you just at home right now? And he was like, pretty much, yeah. But hey, when you're a senior in the industry, you can do whatever you want, even if you're an intern.
It's true.
But Kim Won-hae in that episode, he's very soft-spoken, but he works really hard. It also shows you like the formality of language and how it was very awkward and how really they were stumbling over themselves. Like, I literally don't know what to do right now.
Yeah.
So does everyone have a favorite role of his that
I want to mention one that took me aback. I did not have the time. I wanted to go watch the Kim Won-hae cut of The Fiery Priest. I did not have time to go watch the Kim Won-hae cut of The Fiery Priest. However, I have seen the first episode or two of The Fiery Priest, but I remember I was not expecting him to be in it.
Yeah.
I had either I did not know or I had forgotten that he was going to be in it. So when he showed up, I remember freaking out because he was wearing guy liner.
Yeah.
And he was a Russian mafia person. So his outfit, like he also had like fake earrings and stuff, and the way he was acting was like really cool. I was just losing it. I was like, oh my gosh, Kim Won-hye. Like he was being so cool.
He does do those kind of like drastically different things, because this is not a favorite, and I didn't watch all of it, but I did watch the first 3 episodes of He is Psychometric, because he's in that in the first 3 episodes, and he's literally just a teacher. He's not like, it's not some like crazy out of this like world character, and that was recent. That was only a couple of years ago too. So like it's not like you're guaranteed him to be in this kind of like really big role, and I think that's fun watching it too.
That's also a switch, because I remember when I saw him in that, I was waiting. Like when Kim Won-hye is in a role, you're waiting for something to happen.
That show had a lot of lightness in those first 3 episodes.
It
definitely
did.
Like I would say that He is Psychometric is like a geared toward a young 20s as a crime drama, not like, I don't know what the rest of the show does, obviously. Yeah. But it's like, so a lot of like, there was a lot of lightness and a lot of kind of jokiness, especially with what's his face from GOT7, like his character. And Kim Won-hye's character is not jokey at all. I mean, this doesn't spoil anything. He's like a really terrible teacher. He wants this kid out. It's completely not what you're expecting of Kim Won-hye too.
I think I like him better when he plays the like just like regular characters. Like my favorites are probably When You Were Sleeping and like The Player, like where he's just playing a more low-key character. Like I dig him in those roles. Watched one of his drama specials, Fake Family, and it was really, really good. He's a side character in it, but he was a little too cartoonish villain in it. Like he had a mustache, even like I expected him to twirl it a little bit. It was like drama wasn't really that way, but like his character was, and so it kind of like was like it just off somehow, but like it was still good. Like I hated him and I was supposed to hate him, so like good job, I guess. But
I really liked him in Chief Kim, but in Chief Kim, I'm pretty sure he was just playing himself. Because his character was like an office worker whose family lives overseas and he lives frugally and lets, Nam Goong Bin's character move in with him to save money. And he's just a normal dude. That's a good show. That's a great show, by the way. Especially one if you're not into romance. Great show. Great show. Very funny.
And also, just right now, if you're loving Vincenzo, go watch Chief Kim.
Yeah.
You're gonna like it.
Yeah. It's not violent like Vincenzo is, but it's on like definitely my top 20 dramas list. Like
for sure.
It's a good one. And he's great in it. Kim Won-hye is great in it. So anyway.
So for me, definitely Player is like my top one, I would say. He wasn't in it a lot, but I really loved Hem of Death. It's only a 4-episode thing. And I enjoyed that, but he's not in it a lot. He plays the father and you don't see him for very much. So I can't really say that. But a very close second is Ghost Detective. Like his role in that entire thing is really good. And he is kind of the comedy of, well, not all the comedy of the show, because it does have some like funny things with what's his face, Daniel. Is that his name? Yeah. Just what he does with the character, I think he's really good at like kind of going from the ups and downs, especially that. And he has kind of like in the show, it's definitely he's the Watson character of the show. And so he has that to it. And so it's like a very fun like character to see him in, because he's kind of like this detective, but he's not the main detective. And like the way he like, works with the other characters, I think it's just like a really good fit for him.
I think for me it's The Player, because I don't think he might have been in every episode, but it's not as if he got a ton of screen time. really every episode, but his character was kind of the moral instigator for some of the other characters. And even though he was a low-key character, there was a lot of depth to like everything that character was doing. It was the most fleshed out I've seen some of it, like since he's a supporting actor, he doesn't usually get a ton of like, sometimes he has arcs and stuff, but you don't get a lot of like moral dilemmas or whatever for his characters quite often. You don't get to see those parts of him. So again, not that he had a ton of screen time, because the player is all about a lot of the other characters, but when he was there, like, I don't know, his presence in that role was really good, and it fit very, very well
to the show.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Main character of the show. That show's amazing too. Like,
so good.
Yes, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. You'll appreciate. Like, listen.
And I will say, so even though the player has comedy in it, his character, aside from slight fish out of water situational funny,
he's like the straight man.
He was kind of the straight man.
It has comedy, but the comedy is because the character is comedic within himself. It's not jokes that are written that the character has to do.
Right.
So that's what makes it really great. I think also it's like 12 episodes long, so it's like a really tight narrative. But also, all the shows that we said are really easy to find. They're on all the like places that you need to find them on. Viki and Cocoa, and Hymn of Death is on Netflix. Like, these are...
And the fact that you can find be happy about the player existing since it's an OCN, like, the fact that we can go watch it easily is very happy.
And I will say, I didn't watch all of the, like, movies. I had a list of movies that I was going to watch, and I didn't. But a lot of the movies that he's in are actually available, at least here in America. I don't know where elsewhere. There's a couple of sites that are, like, streaming sites that are lesser known, like Tubi, and there's one it's like called like Swing or something. They always randomly have a lot of Asian movies. And so I watched Missing You, and that was on Tubi for free. It just had to, or not Tubi, it was on IMDb TV, which is then on Amazon with ads. But there was only like 4 ads. It was like pretty easy to go through with the ads. It's fine. There was Hide and Seek, which is a horror that I have had on my list forever. It's on, I think, Tubi or Swing. So there are like ways to see his movies as well, like, especially here.
Like, I'm looking on Viki right now, and I just searched up Kim Won-hee on Viki, and then it goes, you can pick, like, click what works they've been in. There's 25 different things that he's in on Viki alone. Like, you can find him, like,
Strong Woman Do Bong Soon's on Netflix.
I think Tomorrow with You still is on there too.
Yeah, probably. Signal.
Yeah.
Stranger was on. Stranger.
That's on Netflix.
Is Stranger 2 on Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hymn of Death, Chocolate.
Yeah, Chocolate's on Netflix.
Now you can also just search Kim Won-hee on
Black
Netflix,
is on Netflix,
and it'll bring up. So we've Kim's explore titles related to Kim Won-hee. So,
which just beware. Eventually, if you go down, there will be things listed that he's probably actually not in.
Like,
eventually it flips to things he is not in.
Eventually it does the thing. It's like, just to Kim? You're like, that narrows it down.
You're getting colder. But like it has Signal, Black, Chocolate, Hymn of Death, Grateful Friends. There's The Bride of Habeck, which is his Bride of the Water God. It's got Startup, which he was in. Run On, he's in. His role in Run On is so interesting because, like, there's like, they could have been anyone, but they're like, no, we went with Kim Won-hee because he just plays a bartender who, like, just, like, asks a character, like, a poignant question while he cleans a glass. And that's it. He's just,
I don't know. I need Kim Won-hee for that role. I think that's totally fine.
It's wonderful. It's perfect, you know?
Like, I think I've said this before a long time ago on the podcast. what I really want is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood
Yes.
with Kim Won-hee.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And even
yes.
like even if he was, you know, a little even more softer it doesn't have to be like Mr. Rogers, but like just give me just Kim Won-hee being Kim Won-hee with a sweater, and I would just be totally pleased. And even if it was like, here's money saving tips with Kim Won-hee, like I would watch the heck out of that.
Yes.
Same.
And then he probably randomly, he knows so many actors and idols and stuff. Like he'd probably just have his friends come over
The
once in a
guest
while to just
stars on
talk.
that would be so good.
Oh, just he's in so much. It's ridiculous.
Even if
like,
you don't think you've seen him, you've seen him.
You've seen him.
You've seen him.
Like if you
Unless
watch
you're
more than one K-drama, you've seen him.
But if
Probably.
you're new to K-dramas, just know you will see more of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
and let me be clear, you will love him.
Now,
Like, this isn't like, I'm not saying you must love him. I'm just saying it's pretty hard not to. So,
however, if you're just coming into K-dramas, and if maybe Strong Woman Do Bong Soon has been the only encounter you've had with him, I know that
That's
was
very
my
true.
first encounter with him.
yes.
It is possible that because of he's in two roles in that. Both are very campy. One is more objectionable than the other.
Yes.
But that's not really on the actor necessarily. You never know.
No.
I
Definitely.
will say he's not always campy. If that is
Yeah.
the one moment you've had with him, please
Go
give
watch
Kim
like
Won-hee
The
another
Player
chance.
or When You Were Sleeping or Chief
Oh.
Kim and go see him play
Dude.
like a normal dude. Like
Yeah, and especially if you're like not into those things, like they're like some of the shows or the movies that I talked about are really dark. Like Life is really dark.
Mhm.
Missing You is really dark. It's a revenge story.
And No Mercy is
Yeah, and the hide and seek is also, it's a horror. So there's definitely like a lot of like where you can get him and not, and then also things like that are a little bit darker but that are not like so like over dark, like Signal or Stranger or something like that, where it's, you know, it's still got a little bit of lightness but it's not a comedy at it.
and then there's also things that are like not campy but are still pretty light, like his character in Clean with Passion for Now.
I liked his character in that one.
Yeah, it's like it's very good and very nuanced, and I know, like I kind of really like that show. Like it got a lot of flack on the TL when I was watching it, but I kind of liked
I
it.
enjoyed it, but
cute.
I thought it was fun.
it
you
did
know?
its thing.
It made me
His
feel like I
role-
need to clean my house more, but
his role, like, without his role, there wouldn't have been as much gravitas in that
No.
show whatsoever. But
No.
because his role as a trash man and
Mhm.
like what type of life, you know, just being a dad and all those things,
Mhm.
and they would just reflect on that periodically and how that affected his family or not, and
Mhm.
just a very hard worker throughout his life. If they didn't have that role, the main characters there wouldn't have been much to it. There wouldn't have been much
Yeah.
meaning to a lot of the decisions and stuff that went on if they didn't have that dad character
Mhm.
and his struggle and
Mm-hmm.
his life. So yeah, his role in that one's really good.
Yes, yeah.
And it's obvious he loves the kid character. It's really cute.
Yeah, I just really like this show. I just really like the show. Like, even when I think about it, I'm just like, I really like that show. It has a bunch of my favorite actors in it, so like, you know, it's a pretty light little
Pretty easy watch.
Yeah.
Would we like to play one of our games?
I think we should do the drama.
Now, in case you haven't been around long
Mhm.
enough to hear us do this before, we do this periodically. We try to not
Mhm.
overdo it because we have a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, we could probably
Yes,
do it
but
every
also,
episode.
it makes us, I will say this now, by the time that, I guarantee, by the time we're done making this game, we will be kicking ourselves that we made the drama we made and that it doesn't truly exist. We
I
will be
know, this
frustrated.
happens every
Yeah.
time. And like,
So-
and I know like people who listen like have told me like, damn, I'd watch that. Like,
Uh-huh.
We all
had
would together.
we've had some pretty good bangers in the past, and I'm pretty sure we always kind of stick them in there too. Like,
Oh yeah, it's been
Oh, for
consistent.
sure.
That we
He
always
often shows up.
But-
Yep.
man.
but like now it's all about him. We want to make a drama for him, a drama that he can transcend to the main role and just truly be
all the roles.
all the
All
roles.
the roles.
But the
And-
thing is,
We could also have like a little bit of a supporting role, so someone who could
Okay.
be the next.
we
Kim
can
Won-Hye.
allow a supporting role.
Yeah,
But
like
the thing is, Kim Won-Hye could actually do. I mean, he could do this.
Yeah.
He could do
Yeah.
these many roles in one drama, and it would
Like-
work.
I could see like, okay, I always if we go like a sci-fi route. Okay, I'm thinking. Have any of you ever seen the movie Moon with Sam Rockwell?
No, but I know the
No.
premise.
So, for anyone out there, it's like one guy who's on like a space station on the moon, by himself. But what if it was like similar to that, but with a bunch of clones? Okay.
I was gonna say like an Orphan Black kind of, clone
Yeah,
situation.
like-
No,
right?
I did Orphan Black. Yes.
Yeah, Orphan Black with him as all the clones would be pretty
Okay,
fascinating.
So I do like this thing. I'm just gonna throw this out here. We
Okay.
definitely don't have to do it, but I think it would also be alternatively really funny with Kim Won-Hye doing every character and nobody acknowledging it's the same person. Like it's
Yes.
just not acknowledged.
Don't
And
be
maybe
like-
to the point if they could be crafty enough that no two Kim Won-Hye's will be in the same scene too. So like the entire time the like audience is thinking there's got to be a catch at some point. They're gonna show up and say that like Kim Won-Hye is this because of this, and then it never happens. The long
Imagine how
pause.
frustrating that would be as a viewer. You'd be like, "What is going
I
on? Am I
would love
crazy?"
it.
And they just never explain it. It
No.
just is.
It
It,
just
simply
is.
is.
You could have
That would be an
like,
art piece. An art piece.
I could see
art
that
film.
in Natalia's like moon base kind of scenario with all these like Kim Won-Hye clones, but like they don't know they're clones, so they think that like everybody just looks like that, and then like one day somebody shows up who doesn't look like them,
Yes.
and they think it's an alien because it
Yeah.
doesn't look like Kim Won-Hye.
Oh, now we've got,
right?
now we've
Well,
got
Like,
a plot.
Okay, so one of the things that I thought like could actually work with like my scenario was it would be either like a office drama or like maybe like where most of the show revolves around an apartment complex, so all the
Mhm.
the residents are that. We could do that as well to transform the apartment complex like kind of like comedy into these clones because they all have different like they're all in different apartments essentially, all these clones.
yeah.
Okay, there was like, was it Australian or from New Zealand? There was this like mockumentary with something daisies. And it was like a
Pushing
mockumentary.
It's
No, it
so
wasn't
bad.
pushing daisies.
I know.
And it was, what was the name of it? Sorry, now I need to like look it up. So it was like basically about like this small town, and the mockumentary is like them going around and like interviewing all the weird people who live in this small town about like the weird stuff that's going on in the town. Like there's like this plot about like one of them thinks that like an alien is coming to like abduct them, and I think it was on Netflix. Now I'm like
It would be funny to do the apartment complex
poppies.
thing.
It was like, what was it? Tall poppies. Sorry,
Love this.
Do the apartment complex thing, but kind of make it kind of like The Office as far as a mockumentary, like
Yeah.
so the crew, the quote unquote camera crew, which is kind of like a character in and
Yeah.
of itself, and in a instance like that, would go around to the different apartments of the apartment complex, and then you would also talk about like the landlord that owns the apartment
Mhm.
building and all this stuff, and of course,
Yeah.
and like they never see it, all the inhabitants of the apartment building have never seen the landlord, but money, yada yada. So
Mhm.
I can see that working. That'd be
Yeah.
really funny. And there would be this found family aspect, despite the fact that like they don't like the apartment building is like a well-oiled machine, and they hear each other, and they might even like sing, like
Yeah.
they knock on the walls, like how you do with
Uh-huh.
apartments.
So
I don't know why in my head I was thinking about the mockumentary about the dog show. That Fast
Oh, yeah.
did. Yeah. In my head
Best
I
in
was
Show.
thinking that, the Best in Show. That kind of, when they are doing the like, talking heads.
Yeah.
So, okay, I did finally find it. What I'm talking about. It was a New Zealand show, and it was called Short Poppies, and they actually did a very similar thing to what we're talking about, because all of the main characters were played by the same guy in different costumes. So, like, they would have, like,
Nice.
they would have, like, secondary characters that were, like, like, one of their girlfriends or whatever. But, like, all of the characters, like, that are being interviewed were all played by, like, the one actor in different costumes about, like, the extraordinary people in this ordinary town. But they're all just a bunch of weirdos, right? Anyway, I think something like that would be really funny. Like, just... And then it could work with, like, the apartment thing. Would be, like, the best apartment complex and whatever.
I kind of think it would be fun to have, like, almost the weirdness of, oh my gosh, why can I think of the podcast? The podcast where he's, like, the news, he's telling the local, radio station.
Night
Night
Vale.
Vale.
Night Vale.
Yeah,
Like
Welcome to Night
something
Vale.
like that, where it's, like, a little quirky. It's got
Yeah.
the, like, weirdness because it's quirky.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Seriously strange things are happening, but they're presented in a very normal fashion.
Yeah, because
like
they're
it's not
presented like-
the world, it's a normal occurrence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh god, Night Vale. What a...
I feel
When that-
so good.
Night Vale.
when that started, like, it was such, like, a vastly different from anything that existed. And it is, I think that, yeah.
I remember first listening to it and being like, this is so delightfully weird and just me. Going back to, like, what we're actually doing, the Kim Won-hee drama. We should have that, like, one, there's one Kim Won-hee character who just hates this one other Kim Won-hee person.
Oh, no.
Irrationally.
The one Kim Won-hee character hates the only other non-Kim Won-hee character that comes on to be, like, the straight man of this mockumentary, right? Like, because you need the one character, if you're doing, like, a mockumentary like this, where it's, like, all the characters are played by Kim Won-hee, and no one, like, who, like, none of the Kim Won-hees are acknowledging that all the other Kim Won-hees are just Kim Won-hees. You need the one guy to be like,
To your
what
brother?
is
Like,
this?
is it
Like-
Or, like, also, like, you need, like, one character to have beef with the staff of the documentary. Like, you always need to
Yes.
have that one that's, like, either he's grumpy and he's just the grumpy old man, or he really just, like, one of the staff members, like a PA, did something and he, like, hates that PA now,
Yeah. Yes.
and he can't, like, it's just, like, all shade during every like take. You can tell, like, every, like, the director's, like, a little annoyed by it because they're like, we can't get any of these shots right because he's just hating this
Yeah,
person.
like the PA parked in my bike spot, and I am not okay with that.
Yeah, and it's like the smallest thing, but it's now moral
I
enemy.
It's like,
Yeah.
and so, like, and every time they come on screen, they have to be like, oh, are you parked in my spot again? Like,
Yeah.
or, like, it'll be something dumb, like a PA drank his coffee or something. It'll be like, oh, do you need coffee? Like, are you good?
Because they
Are
can
you
also
good?
like have those spots where it's like you see the behind the scenes, like the sets up of stuff. It's whether like someone's like just always recording, or they kind of like break that wall and kind of like show up the setup. And so like you can see like someone putting on like some sort of mic on him, and like you can just looks over and sees the guy and just hear him go.
Yeah. And then I always love those scenes in those types of shows where it'll suddenly zoom, like it'll be like, like someone giving an interview, and then it'll suddenly just like zoom out and it'll show all the lights and stuff, and then there'll be like something just happening in the corner, like just that sort of stuff. It's just like you glaring at the one guy just like
There's like always someone like whispered and doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
it's
God.
just like,
This-
is it like you can hear it on the camera, and so the camera kind of backs out to like see what's going
Oh.
on.
You know what?
This would be the funniest web drama of all time. I'm gonna be honest.
It would be
Like,
really
don't know.
great for quarantine.
yeah.
Mhm. I think like my brain is sort of seeing it. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, 4 Rooms, I think it was called, and it was like it was about a hotel bellboy who like runs to these different rooms in the hotel. So like you could almost have that like maintenance character or something who's like he has to go into the, you know, and like maybe that's what the documentary is, like they're following him around into all these
But
rooms,
then- but then-
right?
yeah,
The
and then they
lesser
have to hear
character.
too- Yeah,
Yeah.
like the building super. The
Yeah.
documentary about, oh, this building super's been a building super for like 40 years. Like, so we're, you know,
Okay, so
like
if we don't make it a 40-year-old, I think a really great person that we need to get on this, that we usually get them on, but they wouldn't be 40 years old, is Kim Seol-gi, because she is
Yes.
definitely the replacement Kim Won-hye in my eyes.
For
Yes.
sure. Yeah.
Even though she
Yeah.
should be like, she's lead girl material. I don't,
she is.
whatever
she
you're
is.
doing, Korea, stop it. But it would be funny, or like maybe that's also the conflict, is that maybe for like 40 years her dad was the person that did it, and now it's switched, or like they switched management or
He's the
something, so
new-
she's the
Yeah,
new.
and so she's
girl.
like the new, like, you know.
Yeah, and so like there's this
the
like
building
we're gonna
representative.
hate her no matter what,
And then-
because
and
she's
yeah,
the
so
new
then-
person.
Yes. So like it'll be like following like, you know, Kim Won-hye in old man makeup being this like elderly super that everyone likes, and then like she'll just be there trying to be like, hey guys, like I really want to do things to like make the building better for all our residents.
She's like,
And like
I got a community room going on, and we're gonna have bingo night.
yeah, and then and all the other Kim Won-hye's at their various outfits are just like, not
And
today.
there's like one person that like is like, oh, this sounds really great. I'm glad that she's doing this. And they're all like,
and then everyone will like, you know, then in the mockumentary style, it would cut to someone in an interview and be like, absolute traitor.
yeah.
I cannot believe this.
I feel like she would do a really good like Jim the Office like stare at the camera too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when somebody says something and she's just gonna be like, you know, like I'm trying, but ugh.
So I know that we weren't going to insert a ton of other characters. This is just like a cameo that I desire.
That's okay.
Is-
We could do cameos.
So Kong Ki Young,
Mhm.
Oh.
what happens at some point in recording would be he just kind of walks by the building, and then the camera follows him, and then he walks into this other apartment building, and then you see that the other apartment building is full of Kong Ki Young characters.
Oh my god, that was so funny. And then we of course need someone to just play the director who's asking all the questions to people, because that's always someone else, right? So it would need to be someone who has like a really distinct voice.
Yeah, a distinct voice, and they could possibly be, you know how like some like, especially you see this in kind of like the environmental documentaries, they're
Mhm.
like kind of like the young hip person.
Yeah.
It could be someone like that, where it's like completely someone who you don't expect to be actually doing this
And like
documentary.
and you would like never see their face until like the last episode when it's revealed like, oh, it was them
Mhm.
the whole time.
Who would have a really good voice like that? EJ Hoon, actually.
Yeah.
He would have a lot of fun with that. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
that
And
would
you-
work for me.
Especially if you do it kind of like how they kind of sometimes do it is it's like obviously the NYC like film grad where
Yeah.
they're just like they want to be like something else and they're trying to make this something else than what it is because they're like very prestigious schooling and know all the
Yeah.
tricks of the craft. And you're like,
But,
no, this
but
is
it's
a
like this is
documentary about like an apartment complex. You know?
yeah. Oh my god. This would be amazing. Oh, we've done it, guys. We did it. To ourselves.
Done it again.
Well, do we have anything else that we need in there? Like,
Well,
what
I
would be
feel
some
like there
good
should be like
PPLs or
like a cameo, like every episode there's like a big name cameo person who, you know, is visiting that apartment building, or
But it's just like, but it's like so quick that you almost like
it would be someone
barely
who's like
notice it.
maybe like a delivery guy and brings in the coffee
delivery
and then
guy, or like the mom dropping off food for the college student, or the, you know, like just
man,
you
Kim
know.
Won-hee being a college student.
yeah.
Oh my god, yes.
Or like the person like that you always see the person, you don't never see actually the person who was the previous maintenance or whatever person that like got, you know, moved around, but there's always just like a picture of them that they always do that like cut close up every time someone's talking about them, because they can't do anything. It's not like they can like interview them because they're like, maybe they're so old that they've passed away or something like that.
Oh, that's actually
that could be a really good
idea.
name. It could be like a big name person that like you never see.
And then you'll have like pictures, like, you know, where it's just pictures of them like posed with the various Kim Won-hees. Like, oh, I remember that.
Oh my god,
and that
it'd be so good if you
so
like.
good.
It's not like they don't show it in every episode, but it's always there, kind of like it's in the background, kind of like the zombie music video that Day 6 did, where all their little animals were in the background, but like, and some of them you could like clearly see and some of them were not. So it could be like, you know, one of the Kim Won-hees, it's like them at the park together, or like by like whatever space type thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's on like it's in a frame on the like on a table
or something,
and you can barely make it out, but it's there. Or like
like
another person, it's on their fridge.
I feel like, I'm seeing something. So I'm seeing the plot of this. So this interview is about how they're all remembering this super, like, building super who has passed. And then they all resent this young, hip, you know, Kim Sul-gi character who's come in to try to, like, make the apartment a better place. Like,
she's not, like, super hip, too. That's, like, the thing.
Like,
she's kind of just, like, playing girl, you know? Like,
yeah, she's just, like,
actually, like
compared
demanding
to, you know, the ancient man who has died that they all loved, she is young and hip. So then, like, you know who I'm seeing in the role? You know that actor who has the very obvious wig that he wears and everything? Like
you always really like bringing him in this.
I know. I really think that he would be perfect as just the guy in the photos, because he's like really well known, right? Like just the guy in the photo, like, you know, posed, and he seems like, you know, I've seen him in interview stuff. He seems like the sort of guy who would be down for this sort of nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Pose with Kim Won-hee in various outfits, like.
And then, can you imagine the behind the scenes reel of just those pictures being taken?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
It will be the
Like,
last episode, you know how the
they
credits always have the
gotta be,
behind
like,
the scenes.
They gotta be like really ridiculous of him like saving a cat from a tree while like Kim
like,
Won-hee and Azuma outfits is below.
Like
right?
home videos of him too, and
Yeah.
it was playing in the background on someone's TV, and you didn't really pick it up, and it's like them just like hanging out or at the karaoke, or you know, just doing something random.
Oh my god, this would be the funniest show. Oh, they did it again.
Well, so the whole reason that the one Kim Won-hee is mad about the bike spot being taken is because the super specifically made that like bike like parking area like
For
tie
him.
thing for him, and so the fact that you took it, like used it, was just an affront against that character.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Korea, we say this every time. You should really listen to our podcast and reach out to us. We can help you. We can
definitely
listen,
gladly.
for a very nominal fee, we will give you our ideas. Like, we will help you come up with these. We know what we're about. We know what the world wants, man. We got our finger on the pulse of just
The world wants more Kim Won-hee, is what
the
we
world
know.
does want more. Well, like, the world has a lot of Kim Won-hee, but it could always use a little bit more, you know what I mean?
I would like to see more behind the scenes Kim Won-hee, because
me
I would
too.
too.
seeing
Or
that he
Kim
is
Won-hee.
like he's whip smart from what I've seen
Mhm.
on like Running Man and stuff. He's just very quick, but
Mhm.
I always like soft spoken, really quick people because like you never know what they're gonna do, really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think he'd be fun to just kind of have drinks with, you know?
Yeah,
Just
he
kind of be
seems
like
a
really
good
chill.
dude.
Like, and then maybe he'd get into stories about something, even if it's like, I feel like he's the type of person who could like tell you a story and like normally it'd be boring, but he kind of just makes it interesting in that like really friendly way. Do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, it's not that interesting, but you want to hear more from him because of who he is.
Yeah.
He's just like a fun person to just know, and like kind of one of those people that just like kind of like that like older person that you have in your life that always just has stories, and sometimes they're like really great and sometimes they're kind of just like you're just listening to a story, but it's still you appreciate hearing those types of stories from them. And I think he has that, especially with the amount of roles that he's done and the amount of people that he's worked with. I think there's a lot there.
I agree.
I need a Master in the House episode with Kim Won-Hee.
Yeah.
I've just realized that.
No, that would be great.
Yes.
That would be wonderful.
I also need Kim Won-Hee to have an Instagram, just because I need that.
Yes.
Even if it's like, here's my coffee. Like, I would think that would be funny.
What type of Instagram would he actually
I know.
We just
He
need
probably
more.
I feel like
wouldn't.
he'd have one of those like sort of funny, goofy ones where it was just like always pictures of him with a co-star or something, but like where he was doing something goofy to them,
or he'd be like, you know,
something.
one of those like he screams dad energy to me, like
He
really
does.
does. And I could see him just like always just taking a picture of the shoes that he's wearing for each shoot or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
or, like just something random.
Think like the show news Instagram and how like dad energy that is, and absolutely dumb and boring and that, but like the energy works.
Oh, that's actually something I wanted to mention about Happy Together, this little detail. So on Happy Together, he's wearing this brown, nondescript sweater that's like all balled up and worn. And his friend of many years and co-star and stuff, evidently before the shoot started, he's like, "What are you wearing?" And he's like, "You said I could wear anything." And he's like, "Not that."
He gives me the energy that I think he lives for embarrassing his children every day of his life. That's his only actual goal in life, you know? Like, it's just to embarrass his children. Like, that's what I think. And you're like, you know, respect.
He's just wonderful. Like, it's about, you know.
He deserves a fan club, like, legit.
He does.
He really does.
Like, you know, that's
I mean, maybe he has a Korean fan cafe. If he does, that would be great. I hope he does. I hope he does.
It's gotta be. Like, it's
Ajmas
the Korean public
love
has
him.
to know him too, as much.
Yeah.
Like, if we're picking up on it, and you know, we don't even
No.
speak the language.
Because even on Running Man, how they're all like, "Oh my gosh, it's Kim Won-Hee." They're just like, "Whoa."
I just remember Jiho just being like,
I feel like Kim Won-Hee and Krang Soo would be shenanigans. Like, just the two of them. I mean, Krang Soo's always shenanigans, so I just feel like...
He needs to be on Running Man again. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Give us what we want, Korea.
Knowing Bros Kim Won-Hee too, that would be actually very entertaining.
Put him on the
Goes
show.
up in his little school uniform.
No, you know what would be great? Him just appearing on like My Little Old Boy, but not as one of like the the boys, but just as someone who comes in, because like they always have like their people they know like come on in and
I think the mothers
basically
would
like
love
roast them, like not only like coming in to be like the panelist, but like just and just on like when they're the characters on the show just like do things, right? And just have him be like one of the people who shows up when they're doing something. Like they always do. Like I just love that show, but like we just want him. I know that he's in a lot, but we want him in more.
Sure.
We want to keep him employed. We want to keep him in our hearts. And
honestly, if he ever, I don't know, from what he has said, it's not like he's striving for a main role. You know, like when you're a character actor, I know that's not necessarily his goal. But if he was ever given a main role in something, like that would be really cool. Like that would be a neat thing to watch. Even if it was like just a little mini series or something, like it'd be neat. Like our drama.
Yeah. Make our drama.
What would the name of our drama be? We totally missed that.
Okay, so it would either be something to like pinpoint that it's like a mockumentary, or it would be what the mockumentary actual name would have been. You know? So like something it would be like either pretentious or like funny.
It's like New Girl on the Block or something. Which is weird because it's all about him, but it's not because it's about her. But
or like The Doors, or like something to like
the apartment.
The Doors of Memory. That would be like the pretentious.
Doors of Memory. Yes. Yes.
And then as far as like the mockumentary title would be like That One Weird Apartment Building.
Yeah. And then like all the PPL would be super easy. It could be like soju brands or cleaning
Dyson
supplies.
vacuums.
Cell phones.
Yeah, all the cleanings, like as far as all the super stuff, like you could have a whole closet full of PPL essentially.
Yeah.
Like
We've hurt my heart once more, like we do every time we do one of these.
I didn't know it was gonna be so good though.
It's like
okay,
so
but it like
good.
always is. It like always we're like, well, maybe we can make something. It'll be like, good, but like not really where you're like,
we always knock it right out of the park.
We always invent the one thing
weirdest thing.
We come up with like through like this series of like just sort of word association nonsense. We come up with the one show that I didn't know my heart yearned for every time.
Now, I will say, if this drama existed, the Korean public would not quite know
what to do with it.
That's true. It's not a Korean drama.
I feel like it would have to be a web drama because I cannot decide what network would put this. Maybe TVN.
I don't think we nailed it in the like pitched for money.
Now, whatever management company Kim Won-hee is under, maybe they just want to pretty much make a performance reel for him, and that's how you get it.
And this would be pretty perfect, to be honest.
Because otherwise, you know how the Korean public struggles with like sci-fi. There would be literally no way that they would clump onto this. They should though, because he is a joy.
He is a delight.
So we can't even say, make sure you go watch some Kim Won-hee, because you probably already have.
Yeah, honestly, like our audience, you've been around enough to have like witnessed or watched him.
To be honest, most of you probably love him as much as we do.
But maybe you haven't watched the dramas that we personally said was our favorites, and so this would be a really great time to kind of check them out and see what we loved about them so much.
Or if you only know one side of Kim Won-hee, go become acquainted with the other sides of Kim Won-hee.
Go watch that Happy Together. The Happy Together, like I'll have them on the link in the blog post, but Happy Together is on YouTube and subbed on KBS's YouTube channel, so it's easy to find and legally.
Hey.
And really, I lost it whenever I saw him performing his stuff on Happy Together. I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cool. No one talks about this. We all need to talk about this all the time. Like, because we had already planned on doing this, I didn't know that he was so cool. I already knew he was pretty cool.
Yeah, we didn't, you didn't expect to come across this, and it's kind of one of those things you're like, but wait a minute.
Wait, what?
Why did nobody say anything about this?
Like, we need to always be talking about this. This is something we always need to talk about. And if there's ever, if that show is like ever recorded and like online somewhere, I'm going to watch it so fast. I mean, I'd love to see it in person. Maybe post, maybe someday it will exist again. That would be cool.
Check him out. He's literally everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to never see him.
Yeah.
Like, you have to actively work to avoid
You'd have to work hard.
That would be one of
And
those
avoid
bingo
a lot
cards.
of really good dramas. Like, that's... Why would you do it? Don't do that to yourself. Go watch the good dramas and the good
No,
movies and the things.
It's great. Why wouldn't you want to, you know? You know how
And
it
he's got
is?
kids and a family to, like, support in Canada.
Yeah.
Things are not cheap here. Like, I'm just saying. We got free healthcare, but nothing else is free. So, like, just...
Anyway, this has been the Certified Noonas. Yet again, another fantastic episode. We were talking about our main man, Kim Won-hae, one of the few men who deserves rights. We love him, you know. So thank you for listening and listening to us go on and on about our love for this middle-aged man. Very Nuna appropriate this time. Like,
Yeah. Look
you
at
know,
us.
like, look at us going for an actual Opa. Look at us go.
What?
You know, what are we doing? What are we doing, ladies? What are we doing? Anyway, thank you for listening to the episode this week and supporting us by listening to us. But if you want to support us in other ways, you can also, we have a Patreon now. Yay! And it's super fun over there on Patreon. So you can go to patreon.com/certifiednoonas, all one word. You can become a patron. We have different tiers, different levels. You know, we have fun stuff. We have more fun stuff coming. Like, we got big plans for the old Patreon. So we love all of our patrons who become part of our official certified found family. And you're all the best. Anyway, if you want to listen to us anywhere podcasts can be found, but you can also go to certifiednoonas.com for all of the links to everything we talk about, all the time codes and everything, and, you know, a few other fun things over there as well. So you can do that if you want. You know, we appreciate it. We're on social media. We're always on social media. But mostly Instagram, Twitter. Always at Certified Noonas. That's how to reach us. And please reach out to us because we love hearing from people. We want to know, like, you know, what are you guys into? Like, what do you like?
Mm-hmm.
What do you like talking about? We love talking about stuff that we love talking about. And, you know, we like hearing what other people love too because the world needs a little bit more love in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us your favorite Kim Won-hae stuff.
Yes, we
Yeah.
want to know. What is your favorite Kim Won-hae? Like, just tweet it at us. We'll be like, shit, love that one. Love that one too.
Because Natalia's probably watched all of them, so...
Yeah. I don't sleep and I'm unemployed. I've seen a lot.
I've seen a lot of Kim Won-hae.
I've seen a lot of Kim Won-hae in my day. Anyway, we hope you have a fantastic and safe week. Don't forget to wear a mask, wash your hands, and be socially distant. And, you know, to keep enjoying Asian entertainment. And love Kim Won-hae. All right, goodbye!
Bye!
Bye.